Welcome back to the Pass Back Podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Moss, alongside Cade Young. Well, we're 5-3, which is better, yeah. We are actually reporting live from a different studio now. This is going to be our new podcast studio.
No time to set up.
Yeah, it is one of the older rooms in Bolton, I believe. We're shooting live from the basement right now. Apparently, this room hasn't been touched in like 20 years, so it used to be like an old experiment room. But yeah, no. So we're really excited to have this room, and a big thank you to the Texas A&M University Gaming and Media Lab for making this all possible. But
yes, very much.
So South Carolina, it's South Carolina. Like, I feel like this is pretty much how most of the games go every year. Whether we're at home, whether we're in South Carolina, I feel like we've been pretty good on the the win-loss ratio in the past couple of years since we've been joining the SEC. But I mean, it's a midseason game. It's like we were talking about before this. It's nothing exciting because we're winning the games we should win. We're losing the games we need to win.
Yeah.
So it's nothing really exciting right now.
I'll take it because we did not beat them last year.
Yeah.
And actually, they almost came back and won with that crazy onside kick that we recovered. Yeah. But, yeah, 5-3 is not where I expected us, but you got to just keep moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, we're still hoping to be bowl eligible at this point.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can finish the season out strong and make at least some sort of Tostitos or Texas Roadhouse Bowl. But
GoDaddy Bowl.
Yeah, the GoDaddy Bowl. But yeah, no, I mean, I mean, it was a pretty good win for the Aggies. I think we had 350 something yards on total offense. So I mean, it's not a bad day. Max Johnson went 20 for 30 passing. So pretty good day for him as well. It was really interesting seeing both of our players of the week live up to their hype, which we're about to jump into. Actually, we can just jump into that now.
Yeah.
So you chose, what was it? What was your player of the week last week, Anias?
I chose Anias because I knew he could get a big play like that, and he did at the end of the half. But shout out Jimbo. I didn't think he'd give him the chance to score that late in the half. Yeah,
you can definitely see the influence on the 12th Man Foundation donors within a week. And some of the fans wanted him to start taking a little bit more shots at the end zone, and we kind of talked about that, how it's important to take shots at the end zone, and that's how you win at big SEC games when you need to win them, and you can't play too conservatively. But yeah, no, a nice 6 for I think 160, 180 something. No, 6 for 180.
Not that much. It was 118.
Yeah. 118. I had the numbers flipped, I guess.
Max Johnson doesn't throw that much.
It felt like 180, that's for sure. But
it did.
Yeah, no, that was a fun play to watch there at the I think it was third quarter, but Anias makes that cut at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that picture on Twitter that was going viral, and it said this resulted in a Texas A&M touchdown. It was 5 South Carolina defenders around Anias Smith.
It's every time he touches the ball.
Yeah, no, he's just a playmaker, man. I mean, he really is. But like you said, we needed him to show up this week. He showed up this week, and it's a pretty dominant win on offense.
Yeah, it was.
It was good seeing him get production
from everyone.
Yeah, and on the defensive side of things, last week I chose Bryce Anderson, and I talked about how he was going to need to come off the edge a little bit and create some pressure and disrupt Spencer Rattler so he doesn't get out of the pocket that much. Spencer Rattler ends up having, I believe, 7 rushes for negative 42 yards. So Bryce Anderson ends up with 2 sacks. So I would say our player of the weeks were pretty spot on.
Yep.
It's good choices. So very happy with that segment. But
we're never wrong.
No. I think we're going to talk about some of my picks from last week, which, by the way, if you're picking money line for the Pass Back podcast and you're going with my money lines, do not. Because I am on a cold streak. Cade's pretty good. You probably have a better chance with him, but I believe that I have a few picks that were wrong last week. So
you'll turn it around this week.
Yeah, hopefully. I think there's a few more predictable games. Jacksonville State versus South Carolina is probably going to be an easy one to pick. But
yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me.
Yeah, no. So I think we're gonna hop into our recap here for last week. There's a couple things that I noticed. Obviously, Max Johnson had a good day, so the Aggies had a good day. Um, Kept it clean relatively, and yeah, no, he doesn't really throw the ball much, but when he does, I feel like his passer rating it can't be that bad, especially on the season. But
It's better than Calzada's was.
that's for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think I can be too picky after Calzada.
Or
Calzada,
Haynes.
yeah,
At least like
yeah.
Calzada could beat Bama. Haynes couldn't even beat Appalachian State.
Which, by the way, Haynes just decides to have a pretty good career at Georgia Tech now,
Yeah.
which is crazy all
And
of a
now
sudden.
he can run everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I knew he was a good quarterback. I don't know what it is about. Like, we have a quarterback curse at Texas A&M.
We sure
Hopefully,
do.
will be broken by Connor Wigman because the last quarterback I would say was pretty remarkable was Johnny Manziel. We had Kyle Allens and Trevor Knights, and they were pretty decent players as well. And
Yeah.
Kenny Hill, man, I forgot about Kenny Trill Hill.
Kenny Trill, man.
Man, he was awesome. But yeah, no, I mean, there hasn't really been a standout one since. I mean, you could say Kellen Mond would perform pretty well. He was usually a little bit above average every year, not one of the best in the SEC, but reliable for the most part. Towards the end of his career, I think a lot of people were fed up with some of his decision-making problems and his inability to throw the ball as accurately. But yeah, it's hard to be picky for a quarterback when we're used to dealing with some of those guys in the past. But
He only has that record, like all of our records, because he was here 4 or 5 years.
I forgot how long he was. Or
I
how long he
can't
was
believe
here.
we dealt with him for that
Yeah,
long.
That's unbelievable. But yeah. So hopping into the recap, like we were saying, Max Johnson, pretty good game this week. Something else that was really interesting was Ruben Owens, Amari Daniels getting a little bit more production. Not seeing Le'Veon Moss as much this week. I think he was like a little bit tweaked up from the Tennessee game with that hamstring injury, but
Yeah.
it was good to see Amari get into the game a little bit more, and Ruben Owens finally getting that touchdown. I haven't seen a touchdown from him it feels like him forever, but
Was the last one Arkansas?
I think it was, but like it's just nice to see him getting back in the. I think it was Arkansas because I was at that game and I don't know.
Caught that touchdown.
Yeah, I'm always rooting for Ruben Owens though. I think I'm scared to make this prediction, but I do see him in the future if we get a good offensive line as a dark horse for a Heisman Trophy possibly. I think looking at how he runs the ball and the cuts that he makes, especially from his El Campo highlights, like I was super hype about getting him as a recruit. But the way he runs, especially from his high school highlights, reminded me of Derrick Henry for some reason. Just the way he cuts, he stands tall when he runs, and he's able to make those cuts. But if we can develop him, which we should be able to develop him, we have a great running back coach who worked with, I believe, it was Leonard Fournette and, oh gosh, what was the other running back's name that they used to have at LSU? That was right after Fournette.
Darius Guys.
Yes, guys. I believe he worked with both of them and developed them. But
I didn't know that.
yeah, he's definitely a good coach. So I'm interested to see how Ruben Owen develops. I could see him putting on a little bit more weight, maybe.
Yeah.
He seems like a little bit skinnier, but I mean, he just I think has every single thing that he needs to be one of the best SEC running backs. I mean, that's alongside Le'Veon Moss, of course. Le'Veon Moss is also just a great running back. So we'll be fine in the running back position, but it's good to see these guys get a few more plays, especially as freshmen, and develop a little bit more.
I think that Connor Wayman is a dark horse. I mean, that's not even a dark horse, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't
But, like, for the rest of the nation, it's not A&M fans, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, his passing rating or his QB rating was really good before he got hurt this season. So
It was top 10 in the nation.
yeah, I could definitely see him being a candidate as well. Wouldn't that be something, having two Heisman candidates? It won't happen, but
No. USC problems.
yeah, no, I'm excited to see Ruben Owens getting in the game a little bit more here and getting a few more touches though. But speaking of the offensive line, we're really week to week. It's how they want to play. I hope for the end of the season, we'll just finish out strong. But I think you wanted to talk a little bit about Bryce Foster and see how he performed this last week.
Yeah, I mean, the O-line overall, their production was a little up. It showed with every part of the game because our O-line is so bad that, like, our offense relies on it.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, any offense starts with the offensive line. But Max Johnson 250 and the run game got over 100 yards, so you can't complain. I know the Gamecocks haven't been that great all year, but definitely a game that they should win. And 13 points, they dominated more than they won by. But
yeah, and like I said, it's hard not to get bored with this win. And,
no.
And just kind of because we expect our a win, and being back in that win column against especially South Carolina, but I'm more interested to preview this Ole Miss game coming up later in the show. I don't know how I feel going into it after the South Carolina game. I want to say I feel more confident, but if there's one thing that this team has kind of shown a little bit this year is that they're kind of back and forth. And I know I say it every week, but it really all does depend on how they want to play that week. There's no reason why we should be losing, the games that we lose this season, and we have the talent. We've said it before, but it's going to come down to coaching, and I think we're more than capable of walking into Oxford and absolutely beating Ole Miss. But like I said, it's week by week. It's how we want to play. It's how we want to perform.
A&M is definitely capable, but they have played how they should play in every single game this year. Like, they don't play up, they don't play down, they just play right to where they should. So we'll see. They're only a 3-point underdog, surprisingly. But that's kind of how they have played this year, 1-score losses. So except Miami. But
and I think ending the recap on a more positive note, our defense is still, a top defense, and we're still playing like a top defense. Had a great game.
They shut down Xavier Legette.
They
That's
did.
exactly what we
They did.
needed to do.
That was the big thing we were worried about, and that was one of the key factors we talked about last week, that we had to have Legette needed to be controlled and contained. But
I would like to say that I was correct about the less than 100 rushing yards.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can do that to
Judkins.
Judkins.
Yeah.
Is it Keyshawn Judkins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Judkins is still proving to be one of the best backs in the SEC, if not the best back in the SEC.
Yeah.
That's what scares me, I think, the most about this game, and we can kind of transition into our preview for Ole Miss. But that does scare me for this game a little bit because, looking at Tennessee and how they rushed against our defense, even though we're one of the top defenses in the nation, Tennessee really kind of diced up our front guys. So I'm kind of a little bit worried about that. But Quinshon Judkins should be I don't expect it to be a complete shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
I expect us to let up a little bit of yards, but if we can just limit him just a little bit more than he usually gets, then I'll be happy with how we play that game.
Surprisingly, he has a lot of yards and touchdowns, more touchdowns than yards, but he only has over 100 yards in 3 games. So with our run defense, especially how we shut down the quarterbacks running, because they got what's his name, Rattler, negative 42 rushing yards, and then it wasn't Tennessee, it was Bama.
Yeah.
When they played them, the quarterback also negative 30 rushing yards. So they just shut down that aspect, but hopefully they can shut down this run game. I think that the biggest emphasis of anything is A&M scoring in the second half. It's been 4 weeks since they've scored in the second half, a touchdown.
I believe it.
On offense.
Yeah,
so
I believe it.
Since before Arkansas, they better score a touchdown the second half this week.
That's what I'm saying. And it goes back to what we were saying. And, we just can't play 2 halves of football.
No.
Just can't do it for some reason. And it's been a curse. I mean, that's our curse, is the quarterback curse, which hopefully will be broke by Wigman, and the 2 halves of football. For some reason, we just can't play it.
It's coaching.
So I mean, no, yeah, it really is.
You
And
can't get out adjusted like every half.
yeah, no, I know. And it's I always hate watching the second half of A&M football games because, like you said, other teams will come out and adjust, and we will just sit there and keep doing the same things that we've been doing. And it's just it's frustrating week in and week out watching it happen, and it is a coaching issue. So, but another big story is not really just Judkins. I think it's the whole offense. Jackson Dart. I mean, this Ole Miss offense is undoubtedly one of the best in the SEC, possibly
Mm-hmm.
behind LSU. Um, they score like about 38.9 points per game. They're averaging about 350 yards a game. No, maybe 320 yards a game. But um, this is gonna be a clash of the Titans. Our defense versus their offense. I'm very interested to see who comes out, and it's gonna be much like Bama, um, really hitting each other in the mouth and seeing who can out physical who. But
Yeah, it will.
I'm interested to see how this kind of turns out with two of our strong suits going against each other.
Do we know that much about Ole Miss's defense?
I don't think so.
I
I don't think
haven't heard
so.
anything about them.
Yeah, I haven't really watched many of the Ole Miss games, if I'm being completely honest, but I have watched enough of their offensive highlights to know that they are real on offense. So, defense might be a little bit more of a question mark, but um, yeah, no, I'm really interested to see how that matchup goes. If we had to pick we kind of didn't really do this earlier, but if we had to pick players of the week for this upcoming matchup, or we could do the trending players of the week, we'll do offense and defense for this week. I think so you usually do off or defense. So I think for offense, I'm sorry, you usually do offense, so I'll do defense, but I would probably take 45 again. It's hard not to pick him as a trending player when he's co-SEC player of the week this past weekend against South Carolina. But 45, and I mean honestly Bryce Anderson for that matter, but 45 and Bryce Anderson, if they can pick up some pressure off the edge on Jackson Dart, we might be okay. I mean, if
Yeah,
we pressure Jackson Dart and he doesn't have time in the pocket, I really could see us being completely okay on defense.
I'll believe you about your pick of the week because you've been right twice now.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
big guns over
it's
here.
about all I'm right about on this podcast usually, but
My offensive player of the week to watch is Bryce Foster because, like, 2 weeks ago, man, I was at work and someone came in because the Alabama game just ended, and he was like, "I hate Bryce Foster," and was just ripping into the O line, and that's how many fans have felt all year. I think the O line, like I said, is the main part. Everything fires off of their cylinders.
yeah,
So I think that they need to step up this week, and we need to finally beat a top 10 or ranked team even in the SEC because we just haven't been performing against the ranked teams this year.
yeah, and I hate to start talking about next year already as an A&M fan because we're always talking about next year,
But you have to.
but I mean, talk about a big question mark for where we're going to be at. I have no clue if we're going to go up or down because I mean, so 4-7 last year, 5-3 now. It's looking like we're trending towards an 8-4 season again. Texas 8-4 is the joke.
Yeah.
Um, but it's hard to say. It's all going to depend on if we make a bowl game. But we're starting to lose some commits now. I don't know if you're seeing that. Weston Davis, one of the biggest commits that we needed for our offensive line, ends up decommitting this past week, and that along with a couple other ones. There's a few that are locked in, which is good. But if that recruiting class starts to fade away a little bit more, we could be in some big trouble. We're gonna have probably 1 more year, 2 more years where all of our freshman guys are matured and they have experience, and we might have a chance really if we can get the right coaching, which it really worries me because I don't want guys to leave if Jimbo gets fired, and I have a feeling a lot of them are bought in with Jimbo.
Yeah.
If Jimbo leave or if the players leave with Jimbo, I mean we're going to be in a really bad spot for the next couple of years, and we're going to be start collapsing. But if Jimbo stays and we can actually get some good coaching staff. There's no reason we shouldn't win the SEC championship. Honestly, I think, and I think we could definitely win the West, and I think we could possibly compete with Georgia, especially with our defense being one of the top defenses. There's no reason within these next 1 or 2 years we should have anything less than 9 wins. Really 10, but
yeah, the recruiting is crazy, and A&M's D line right now, like, they have 4 rotations they could put in of like players that could start in the SEC anywhere. But it worries me because we get all these skill players, but we can't use them because like we don't get big O-line recruits. Like we get the big D-line, and we also don't get big defensive back recruits.
Yeah.
So like those are just 2 parts of our game that we can't really facilitate. And Jimbo, a large part of why he's staying is his recruiting, but
yeah.
It needs to translate into wins. His coaching needs to translate, even if he doesn't call the plays anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully Bobby Petrino can bring in some more offensive line recruits, and hopefully he can get some recruiting done in that aspect. But I mean, the recruiting is going to be huge for the next couple of years. We have to be able to back those guys up that are about to leave in the next, which is crazy if you think about it. That number 1 recruiting class is now almost done. They're already almost out.
Yeah.
I think one of the guys that we're going to miss a lot is Fadil Diggs. No one really talks about him a lot, but he's really starting to pick it up this season and have a great season. But Edgerrin Cooper, obviously, is going to be another guy. I remember when he was a freshman, it's just like it's crazy how time's flying. It's always the best players. Always time flies by with them, and you always forget that you have them. But no, it's going to be an interesting couple seasons, coming up. And I think if Petrino can get a good offensive line going, and get a few key guys, there's no reason, like I said, we could all go win the SEC championship because we 100% do have the skill player positions down, and that's one thing Jimbo is good at recruiting. So, I think if we want to do an early season prediction for next year, I hate to say 8-4, but I'm gonna go. I'll be conservative. I'll say 10-2. I think we could get a 10-2 season very easily. I don't think it would be crazy to say that.
I'll say 9-3.
9-3.
Or, yeah. Well, it's just so hard.
I know.
I'm gonna say 9-3 because we just never play like we should. Because we should win double digits at least more than once with Jimbo, but haven't yet.
Set the bar low and shoot high. Yeah. No. I agree. No matter what our record is next year, by the way, there's one game on the season or on the calendar next year that is our Super Bowl, and it is the Texas game. And if we have we could have a 4-7 season, and if we beat Texas, it might as well be as good as winning the SEC championship for me.
Oh yeah,
and go to the playoffs, because I think I can agree that. Now, okay, if Jimbo comes out, and I mean, if he's here next year, I'm assuming he's going to be here. I don't think we'll fire him after this year. But if Jimbo comes out and he loses against Texas, that might be the nail in the coffin for his tenure at A&M. But
oh yeah, no one would support him anymore.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be hard. I think this is the biggest game that we have looked forward to, even more so than number 1 Bama at home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been 10, 11 years since the rivalry has been renewed, so I'm very excited for it. Luckily, I'll be a senior at the time, so I should be able to hopefully camp out, 5 months in advance and get a Section 100 ticket. But no, it should be exciting. I'm very excited. I'm definitely going to Midnight Yell for it too. I can only imagine the attendance for Midnight Yell.
Oh yeah, I'm really hoping it's on Thanksgiving again.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Thanksgiving game.
Awesome.
But kind of a bad taste left in our mouth after the last game. I think it was Justin Tucker, actually.
And he's still kicking.
Yep, and he's still playing in the NFL. Justin Tucker, as much as I hate to say it, he is a great kicker in the NFL.
One of the best all time.
Yeah, for sure. But
yikes.
Let's go ahead and hop into our SEC picks for the week.
Yeah.
I know we kind of talked about nothing really crazy happened last week.
No.
Georgia, Florida, 43-20 was a score kind of expected. Ole Miss blew out Vanderbilt. Auburn wins against Mississippi State without Will Rogers, I believe, or was Will Rogers playing?
Yeah, I think Will Rogers, he's definitely out for a while, maybe out for the season.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I didn't really watch that game, but
They started off good too, so Will Rogers has been a pretty good quarterback. So
yeah, I think I was wrong last week because I chose I want to say it was Tennessee, or no, I chose Kentucky, and Tennessee ends up winning that game.
They shut down Kentucky's run offense.
Yeah, no, that was one thing I talked about where I thought Kentucky was going to have the edge, but it turns out Tennessee ends up coming up on top. Doesn't really mean much. Georgia is going to be the winner of the East, and I'm assuming they're going to play Alabama if everything goes as planned. Which actually is a good way to transition to this week, which is probably going to be our main card, Alabama and LSU. We can do that pick kind of towards the end because I think that's going to be an interesting thing we can talk about. But
yeah,
Tennessee, UConn, cupcake game. Obviously, it's going to be Tennessee, and for me, I'm assuming you're going to pick Tennessee as well.
Yeah, it's UConn's 1-7, and they're a basketball school. It's Tennessee by 30.
Yeah. Missouri, Georgia, I think is going to be more interesting than people expect it to be. I think Luther Burden might exploit. I talk about him every single time that we do. We cover a Missouri game, but I mean, he also deserves to be talked about because he's probably one of the best wide receivers, and Theo Weiss. I'm not gonna discredit Theo Weiss.
Yeah.
But that offense could beat Georgia. I think. I don't know. I think Georgia's defense is gonna overpower them this week. I don't think they will, but I think they do have the tools to beat them. I'm gonna take Georgia by. I'll take them by 14 this week.
I'm going to say Georgia by 17. I want to pick Missouri to go against you, but I think what we're looking now is history. Like, is Georgia going to repeat? Are they going to have 3 undefeated seasons in a row?
Yeah.
Are they undefeated 3 seasons in a row? I don't know if they've – but –
That's also something interesting to talk about as well is the CFB playoff selection came out this past week, and I believe it was Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State, which props to Florida State for making it back since the Jameis Winston era.
It's crazy that they're going to make it back without Jimbo before Jimbo makes it back.
I'm sitting there watching the playoff committee pick Florida State for number 4, and I'm like, dang, I wonder, who was their head coach. Obviously, it was Jimbo Fisher, so it's a little bit frustrating to see that. But, so I think – I'll take Georgia though. I think it's gonna be a shootout between. I don't know. It's hard. This honestly, this playoff could be up in the air. I think Michigan's a fraud team. I like in this playoff.
They haven't played anyone good.
Yeah, I think they're frauds. I don't think they're gonna be able to match up against Ohio State or Georgia or Florida State. Really, I think Florida State could be a problem for whoever ends up playing them if they make it to the championship or not. But no. So Georgia, obviously, though, wins the East, or they're going to win the East, and I'll take them this week against Missouri by 14.
Bama is a sneaky team that could slip in the 4th spot if everything goes their way.
Yeah, they could. I mean, they beat Georgia in the SEC championship, which, once again, if they make it to the SEC championship. Kentucky, Mississippi State, I think Mississippi State doesn't have the run defense they need against Kentucky. I've been burned now twice in a row by Kentucky, picking them against Georgia and also picking them against Tennessee. But third time's a charm. I'm going with Kentucky over Mississippi State. I think the run game's a little bit too much for them. I'll take Kentucky by 7.
I'll take Kentucky by 13. I just don't think this Mississippi State team has any firepower, and as a heavy pass offense without the guy that they've been relying on and who's had years of experience with the system, they're not going to perform. Their quarterback, I don't even know his name. The new quarterback.
I don't know if anyone does.
The backup, he's not been performing very well, and he doesn't look like a passing quarterback. I think he's more of a dual threat guy, and that doesn't work in that offense. So Kentucky by 13. I think that. I don't know. Arkansas, Florida.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to say Florida just because Arkansas hasn't beaten an SEC team this year.
Yeah, I'll take I'll take Arkansas this week just to go against you. And then moving on to the main card, I think I'm going to probably I'll take Alabama. LSU's going to have they have a great offense, best in the SEC. I think Jaden Daniels is going to get contained a little bit more by Dallas Turner, so I'll take Alabama in this one.
Yeah, LSU's ranked 14, but they shouldn't be that high, especially if we're saying Bama's 8, because Bama's just going to overpower LSU. Their defense especially is way better than LSU's defense, and I do think that we had more talent than Bama did, but just by coaching, like their adjustment in the second half and to get Milroe to throw the deep ball, that was the one weakness A&M really had on defense. I think they'll find ways to exploit LSU, and Bama will beat them.
Absolutely. Once again, no shocker here. We are going to take Texas A&M against Ole Miss and Oxford. We'll never pick against the Aggies.
Nope.
We've already talked about a few things that we need to happen. Just to summarize it, we have to be able to get pressure on Jackson Dart, have to be able to stop Quinshon Judkins, and then obviously we have to be able to block and allow Max Johnson time to pass and open up some holes for the run game. So yeah, I think I'll take Texas A&M by 3. I think we get it done, but I think we get it done close.
Yeah, I'm gonna also have to say A&M by 3 because I don't see them winning by more than. I don't even see them winning by a touchdown because it will be a really close game. I
could even make a prediction for overtime. I think this could be an overtime game.
That'd be great. I think Tennessee should have been an overtime game.
Yeah, I think it should have been.
but obviously they couldn't score in the second half. I think their special teams and obviously their second half adjustments are the biggest thing too.
Yeah.
Randy Bond did make a 50-yarder last week, but he was 3 for 4. He missed another one. I don't know if it was tipped.
Yeah,
I didn't see it, but
if I had to guess, I haven't checked the stat, but I'm assuming he's around 60 to 70% on the season. Could be a little bit better, but.
And the punter, he needs to flip the field more because Constantino has not been performing like he should.
It's just our special teams. We need a special teams coach is really what it comes down to. But
especially with that Tennessee touchdown that let them win.
Yeah.
That punt return, but yeah. And then second half adjustments we already talked about, but I'll say A&M by 3 as well.
Cool. So I think we might have gone a little bit long on this podcast, but I think all of our picks are pretty good, and I'm excited, looking forward to Oxford and seeing how we play in Oxford. But
I think for next pod we should show our record for our picks this season. I think we've done some pretty decent picks so far.
Well, I'll definitely check that out for next pod. But all right, I think that's about all we have for this episode. And thank you guys again for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna have our socials be going up soon. And with that being said, I'm Jackson Moss.
I'm Cade Young. Shout out the new pod room.
Yeah, new pod room. But we'll see y'all next week, and thank y'all for tuning in.
Thank you.